long overdue, long time ago, Horrific Network got in connection with this guy over here to my right side, director Sean Haitz, had a movie called Big Top Evil. Saw the poster, saw the trailer. I was like, holy shit, this movie is awesome. Of course, it starred the great Bill Moseley, and he's in the second one, right?
No.
Oh, he's in the first one.
Yeah. We have
Oh,
Ed Neal in
Ed
the
Neal, yes.
in Cannibal Comedian. Yeah.
But so immediately though, Sean's working with Bill Moseley. I'm like, I'm gonna follow this dude for the rest of his career. Fast forward to now, a year and a half ago, we were doing virtual conventions over the pandemic. Sean's like, hey, I got this new movie coming out, Cannibal Comedian. And I'm like, my ears are perked. I'm interested. I want to see this movie. And then he just said, Ed Neal's in it, which is even more. My ears are even now. I'm like a puppy. My ears are fully up. And they talked with my buddy Charlie about it back then. And since then, he has gotten to complete it. And it's going on a hell of a festival run. You guys, the success that you guys are having is really awesome to see. And again, it is an original horror movie that right now more than ever, the horror community, seeing all these original ideas get the attention that they deserve has been awesome, man. And so again, Sean Haitz, welcome to the show. Long overdue since the last time, man, but thank you for coming on board.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy. It's great to see you. Yeah, and you brought it back because that must have been 5-6 years ago. We even had our first discussion about Big Top Evil. Was that even before it came out? With
Yes.
Austin. With Austin. Yeah, just on the phone.
Yes.
Just audio. Yeah. So wow. We go back and I'm so excited. This movie's doing fantastic right out of the gate. We wanted to start off doing a film festival tour before we released the film. So, and then right off the bat, we won, and I have it right here. Best feature.
Look at that thing.
From Days of the Dead Indianapolis, we won Best Feature.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This is my Deadhead trophy here, and then we won at our world premiere at Marina del Rey Film Festival. We won Best Horror Film. So, and now we're going to Indianapolis again. We love that place. We love Indiana. Horror Hound Weekend is there, so they have us nominated for 11 awards. So
wow, man,
that's pretty crazy. Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Like the whole premise of which you came up with this, though, like what I got to imagine, your lead in it is he like. How did you find him? Is it like a love of like stand-up comedy and horror films that stem this whole thing? Like, where did you kind of get this thing?
Well, first off, Aaron Prager, who plays the Cannibal Comedian, he's such a good actor. He is the only person that could do this role. Like, he's like an Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey can only play this person. But he's such a good actor that he's not going to be typecasted like Screech or something from Saved by the Bell,
sure,
or something like that. God rest his soul. So yeah, I came up with this idea after Big Top Evil, and it kind of just flowed nicely into because in Big Top Evil it was cannibal clowns that were part of this evil circus out in the in the woods, rednecks, and it's just a mad fest, So anyways, so I started doing stand-up comedy in LA when I moved out to LA. Big Top Evil was shot in Florida, moved out to LA, and that's how that started. And I always had a passion for stand-up comedy, and I love putting the comedy with the horror. So it really is like a love letter to stand-up comedy as well, to horror, and that's how it started pretty much. And and I met Aaron working Halloween Horror Nights with him. We were both Ghostbusters.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, yes. And I right away knew he would be great for something. I didn't know what, because he just had this presence, and he's one of those guys that's like always on,
Hmm.
like a Chris Farley or something, like on and off the stage. Like he
Yeah.
is just hilarious and takes over the room. Big voice, big presence. And I was just like, wow, this guy will be great for something. And I just told him, would you want to be in a movie and this and that? And he'd done some acting prior to that. And he talks about a story too that, like, he's like, I'm working with this guy Universal. Like, what kind of movie is this guy gonna do? And then
Yeah.
it was not more than 3 or 4 months later, we were shooting principal photography for Cannibal Comedian.
When you say you guys were both Ghostbusters, are we talking like way back Universal? Or are we talking
Oh,
when they just did it
2000.
in
Yeah,
19?
2019. Yes.
Holy shit! I didn't know you were doing that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love horror so much. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I was putting on my own little haunted houses, and it's I do that as well when I could, and have a blast doing that as well. The scare acting, they call it, at Universal Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah.
Yeah. That's super cool. So you guys meet through being Ghostbusters together. I didn't know. I also didn't know you had a background in stand up. I did some stand up in the Bay Area for a little while. So that
Oh, that's awesome.
the balls that I think it takes to do stand up are just huge, because I remember the first times I was doing open mics, and there's not a shittier feeling in the world than when you have a joke that you think is funny and you go to an open mic night and it's crickets, as you're trying to like learn the craft of how to deliver your material. And
Yeah,
so
and then it's like something that you didn't think was funny hits.
yes,
And that's what
absolutely.
you're figuring it out on stage. I was saying this thing, like, I when I moved to LA, I went like super hard at stand up, like really into it and really pursuing it for about 6 weeks. No. But no, longer than that. But yeah, I figured it out really fast that it was a brutal world.
Yeah.
And and I sort of came up with the gimmick first with Cannibal Comedian, when I just thought, I don't know why, I just thought like a serial killer would even have trouble doing stand up. Like,
Mhm.
this is a brutal world, And then it came with some of the sayings with stand up comedy, like, I killed tonight, I murdered, I slaughtered. And then from there, it was like the Cannibal Comedian was born. And then I just started writing all these cannibal puns. And there's tons of like dad jokes in this film. It's like overwhelmingly bad puns, good puns, it's just all over the place. And I really tried to nail as many as possible to get them in here. And any of the puns we come up with later were like Cannibal Comedian 2. So we put them away, store those jokes away.
So with that, with Aaron as the Cannibal Comedian, did he at all have any background in stand up as well, or is all that just him acting as a stand up comedian?
Acting as a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
He's
okay.
just a funny guy. And he, in some of those clips, even from the trailer, were like, the first time he had ever hit the stage.
Mhm.
And some of those takes that was it. Like, we did like 2 takes on some of them. So that was literally, you're seeing him on the stage for the first time ever. So, and in the movie, it's his first time ever on a real stage. So it was actually real.
That's really cool. The audience reaction being genuine makes, I think, the whole thing even that much better. Like, it's not, a laugh track, or one of your production assistants telling them laugh, laugh, laugh.
Oh yeah.
they're genuinely laughing at him, which is awesome.
And that reminds me real quick that I had some real stand-up comics, just working LA comics and in the film, and they were like, whoa, this feels like a real open mic. It was actually really tough. And people were only going to laugh if it was really funny. Like I brought that energy, that vibe, and I really tried to make it feel real because I had been there on that side. I've been at an open mic where it's just comics that aren't paying attention. They're writing their own material or someone's eating, it's just nobody's there to see you, and it's brutal on stage. And so I tried to execute that as well. And they said that this felt like a real open mic when they were up there.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the real comedians, because you sent me the clip of, I mean, you're getting like references from comedians like Rogan is talking about this movie and
that was a gimmick.
Oh,
Robert,
was it? Oh, shit.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You know what? He sent it to me first, and I thought it was real, and I was just like, holy shit, Rogan's talking about us? He did some AI voice thing.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And it's funny, the guy who did it is the nemesis in the movie. So it's just something that guy, and he really did it in real life, like tricking everybody.
Oh, fuck.
It's hilarious, though. I know.
Well, man, I mean,
but check it out.
The attention that it's getting, you never know, man. Maybe the next time Rogan talks about it, it'll be because this is up his alley. At least I would assume it is.
Yeah, he likes horror. I know because I've heard him talk about before. Like, I mean, I think he's got like the werewolf in his office from
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah. So, yeah.
The fact that you kind of went this direction, where this one, it actually, the premise of it and watching the trailer and everything, it does feel like, knock on wood that we never have it happen in our lifetime, but it does definitely feel more, I guess, grounded in that this dude could be like a real psychopath, and this is the way that he's kind of like getting his victims, like stand-up comedian by night and serial killer by nightfall type of a guy. Like, there's been way crazier stories out there. Like,
right.
I know you're saying that and I say way crazier stories as like, Ted Bundy, like this sort of deal. But I know you talking about the jokes and the comedy to it, which makes the horror movie that much more fun to be able to laugh and be scared. But were you like trying to get away from like the clowns of Big Top Evil and make this character more, I guess, believable? Or was it just like, this is the next thing that I'm got this idea and I'm full steam ahead?
Yeah. So after I moved to LA, I started, a friend got me into production assistant work on big sets.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, and then I was in the writer's room, and I got to listen and hear how they, even from like showrunners, how, listening in on business calls and watching. So I got on set experience and in the room experience. And that's when I was like, okay, I wanted to do the next one as professionally as I could, even without much of a budget. Mm-hmm. And I really learned how the Hollywood machine works. And I just tried to do it that way. And with Big Top Evil, it's just, I didn't even know what a grip or a best boy or any of these or any department was. I didn't understand that. And later on, I figured out, I'm like, oh, I was basically like 5 departments, department heads, like each job. And then when I've worked on sets to help out another filmmaker buddy, I'm like, oh, I'm in the art department right now. When I'm doing something, oh, now I'm a camera assistant. So right. So that, just knowing all that, because I didn't go to film school. And so I just learned I just had a lot of ambition. I just wanted to make it happen. I'd been filming stuff since I was a kid. So when I came out here, that was the main thing. I just wanted to make something better and more you know, I don't
Polish.
know. Yeah, polished. Yeah, great word. Yeah, and then I also, yeah, in the writers' room. Then I was lucky enough to have them look at some rough scripts of Cannibal Comedian. I also pitched these writers. Like some of these writers were from the Dust Till Dawn series. They
Oh,
wrote,
nice.
yeah. So I was able to pitch it to horror guys, and they dug it. They liked it, the idea, and then they give me notes, thankfully. And then from there, I had a few other writers help me. So I really wanted to establish the story, and and make it a great story. And then when Aaron came along, I really just wanted to follow. I mean, the character was just following this guy around,
Mm,
and it really is like a come up story of someone that wants to pursue something like stand up comedy or become something more, So so it's kind of a drama in a weird way, but on the side he's hacking people up and making meatball human subs. So that's where it's really fun, That's where my horror comes in. But at the end of the day, like Aaron just gives this like like a real genuine performance, and it's not just you know it's not like Sharknado or something. Like
right.
people are really surprised when they watch the movie. Even Robert, who's in it, who plays Carrie, is like, this is like Oscar baity type shooting. Like the cinematography is well shot, and and it's just a really funny thing. I didn't think like that. I was just wanting to make something that was better,
Yeah.
and then I wanted to shoot in the high desert, and then make sure that I get all the things. I would go out there and shoot by myself B-roll of I went to this reptile shop, and for $100 they let me, like, they had their helper come out, and I shot a tarantula, a scorpion, lizards, and I shot them on Joshua trees. And so when we cut to different shots in the movie, you get this real feel of the desert. And I
Yeah.
got some sunsets and sunrises, and that was probably one of the most fun I had, just driving out to the desert. It was kind of a, almost meditation, and going out and shooting all this stuff. And I probably went out there 5 or 6 times alone, just getting different things. Or even like one of the picture cars is this VW bus that's in it a lot, and it becomes a character. It's in the poster and stuff. But a friend of mine, Jesse James, that I met out there, he owns a bunch of cars, and we ended up shooting on his property for Area 5150. But he was just driving this van back and forth, back and forth. And then one other thing, I brought Eric Allegria, who plays the bartender in the movie. He's got a really good drone, and we would shoot landscape shots with the drone and with the van. And so, yeah, I really made that my film hub out there in the desert. And Morongo Valley is mostly where we shot around.
The fact that Southern California has landscapes to where you could go one direction and it looks like you're in the Pacific Northwest, and then you go in the direction you went and it's just desolate feeling, like, and you bring up the van, you bring up the desert and the desolation, which makes me instantly think of one of the co-stars of the movie, guy that I got to talk to for the anniversary of his breakout film as Nubbins. But you got a true character on screen and off screen, and Ed Neal in this thing. What, do you enjoy working with him?
So Ed Neal, we brought him in late, when we actually were taking and doing more with this character named Skelly, which is a rotting skeleton, and he ends up voicing that character. So he did his ADR in Austin, Texas, and we worked with him throughout that. And I got to have, about an hour call with him, and he was basically in character the whole time. Pretty much the hitchhiker character.
Yeah.
like full on. Like it was amazing. I was on the call with Ryan. We're like, that was awesome. Like so, and what's great too, we did get video of him doing the voice work.
Oh,
So
that's
we'll
cool.
yeah, so behind the scenes voice work of doing the character. So we got an interview too on top of that. So it was great. And he has been a cheerleader to this movie. I don't know if you see his Facebook, but
No, yeah,
he
he
shares us and he's really excited about it because he really likes the originality and I think just the feel and the idea of this film.
it's funny how some of the best character actors can turn it on and off like that, because before walking out on stage with him, he was very like soft spoken guy. Like not what I was anticipating by watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all. And by God, the second he got in front of people, man, it was like flipping a light switch. So,
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention too, Alan Danziger it also did voice work in this, and he is Jerry.
oh, right
And
on.
yeah, and he's part of the film too.
Man, the people that you have gotten to be in your films um, throughout the way is a pretty awesome like repertoire of, Netflix has that series, the movies that made us. It's like you've gotten to work with some people that, like, if they ever did just the horror movies that made us, you've gotten a lot of those icons in your films, which is pretty rad, man.
It's surreal. When it's happening too, it's bringing me back, to like when we were able to get in touch with Ed and just get in and doing that call, and then working with Bill Moseley, like watching House of a Thousand Corpse with my dad, and just being like, this guy is the scariest dude ever when he walks into the dinner scene
Mm-hmm.
with the baby in the jar, I think the fetus,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, and then that music hits, I'm like, what is going on? This albino like madman, like just the creepiest dude, and this presence was this pure evil. And I loved this guy right off the bat. I thought he was just so awesome. And now I can actually call him a friend today. And it's pretty crazy. And that it ended up, I don't know, maybe 8 years later, he was in one of my movies. And yeah, and I got to work with Felissa Rose and Vernon Wells, all in the next one,
Mm-hmm.
Area 5150, and they were really great too.
Yeah, the screenshot of Felissa that you sent me is pretty tremendous. Her all okied out.
Yeah, yeah,
So when people are watching Cannibal Comedian, though, like, I would imagine the dude, like you say, he's chopping people up and making them into meatball subs and whatnot. But is it like the gore factor that people are like enjoying? Is it his delivery of his lines? Like, what would you say, like, you're bringing to this one that from just like the horror movie perspective? Like, are you like, damn, this is like a more of a lighthearted like Texas Chainsaw vibe, or like where were you aiming at?
yeah. I think you nailed it with the lighthearted Texas Chainsaw vibe because it is vanilla in the way of like it's not a Cannibal Holocaust,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a couple of kills that are graphic uh and clearly you see it happen, but it's quick.
Mm.
It's not like a Terrifier.
Hmm.
It's more like a Silence of the Lambs. Like, you know what I mean? Like there
Right.
wasn't a lot of blood and guts and graphic kills in that. I mean, there wasn't. It was just really when he kills the police guard and then puts
Yeah.
his skin on his face.
Right.
So there is, but there is whatever kill there is. It's not like Alfred Hitchcock where you see the shadow or something like that
Mm-hmm.
of the knife. You do see it. So we got some nice kills. Really, it's the story. It's the Cannibal Comedian himself just following this guy. It's it's sort of like Joker, like that newer Joker, where you're just following this guy around
Mhm.
and then seeing him become mad. And in this story, it's just like this guy keeps getting signs to go do stand up, and he captures a girl that was actually on her way to do music. She's a singer songwriter, and he almost gets inspired by his own captive, you know, and that's played by Austin Judd, and she does a great job in the film, and she's Candy in Big
Yeah.
Top Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people will get and then they're like get a, there's a slapstick energy to it as well. But but films that I love that inspired me a little bit here and there would be like something like The Burbs.
Okay.
How that's like, but that's like that's more PG-13, but it's still got the horror element.
Mhm.
And the trailer really showcases like this is comedy, horror, comedy.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
more. It really is more of like, okay, we're living in the desert with this guy, and let's see what he does all day. Oh, he goes out and kills somebody. He comes back. He makes dinner. He annoying neighbor comes over. It's just like a typical day. And then finally he gets the balls to actually go out and do stand up at a real club. So he's almost a fish out of the water, like almost like an alien, to the regular world. And it's not
Sure.
even a regular world really, because it's still a comedy club that's in the desert in some
Yeah.
small town as well, but it's
Mhm.
outside his area. And so we showcase that too. Like it takes a while for him to drive to this comedy club. And so there's a lot to unpack. I know that the name of the movie is so like it almost feels more like the trailer. It's going to be really ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous, but there is like it's like it doesn't take itself too seriously, but also it's kind of like this guy's pretty serious.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
character is serious. Yeah.
You kind of answered my next question I had for you. Is the comedy club being kind of in a desolate spot too? So it's not in the movie at all like reference like he's trying to get to Hollywood, like big Hollywood dream aspiration. Like the whole kind of thing is in like remote, desolate kind of a setting then.
Exactly. And to him, this is the only opportunity because he doesn't get out.
Mhm.
So if he doesn't get stage time or can't get up or whatnot, then it's, he doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
So it's like it's it's nothing LA. And it's I created this thing where I love like movies like Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Mhm.
and everybody loves Pee-wee, and this is his world. It's not reality, but it's his world. And then I sort of wanted to try to execute that with this movie too. Like it's its own weird little world.
The fact that you did that, I think, makes it extra creepy. That he's without like just the way that you describing that without like giving spoilers away or anything. It kind of would almost push him over the edge even further, knowing that it's like this or the highway. Like this is my only shot at having an opportunity. Like that stress that could have on somebody just on a day to day life at sometimes is enough to make you feel like you're going crazy. So the fact that this guy actually adds another layer to his character. Is there a particular like scene or sequence, whether it be in the comedy club or when you guys are rigging up some of the kills or anything, that as a director was super fun for you?
Yeah, I think of one in particular, and it's my favorite one. I can't say much more. I mean, let me see what I could say about it. It's, I mean, well, I could just say someone gets their neck slit, and
Cool.
it's very cool, and the way that it happens is really fun. It's probably my favorite kill, and one of my favorite scenes in the film, and the way it unfolds.
Nice.
It's really cool. Yeah. And that, I think even that scene in particular is like, whoa, this movie's like, it gives it like another level, like real quickly. And it's that scene, and I got to give kudos to Cortland Gordon, who did the special effects on that scene. And we actually shot in, he had a house here in Van Nuys. We shot it all in his garage.
Oh, wow.
And October, yeah, of I forget when we shot that, but it was super cool because it was around Halloween, and it's just that whole day in particular. There's some other things that we shot that day too, but it just had this like Halloween energy vibe. It was kind of cool out, and even Cortland has like a bunch of Halloween decorations all around. I felt like a kid that day shooting that scene. So just that whole day, aside the fact of the scene came out great too. It's probably one of my favorites.
I mean, there's nothing better than horror movies in the fall.
Yeah.
There's just not. It's funny. Some of the movies, like studio tours and stuff, where you go to like certain horror movie location and you talk to some of the people and they're like, yeah, Painting the Leaves was a total bitch to make it be like, Carpenter's Halloween was not shot anywhere near actual Halloween. And
Wow.
they had to, dress it to make it look like it was autumn in, the mid, eastern part of the country and stuff, and like that whole concept of like just the translation to a scary story from like mid-September to early November, nothing beats it, man. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
and the fact that again, the desert scene though, are you choosing to have him in the desert, that adds an extra layer of thickness to his victims not being able to go anywhere. And that, I mean, you mentioned Mosley and House of a Thousand Corpses. While that wasn't necessarily a desert setting, Rob Zombie did the same thing where that plantation is out in the middle of nowhere. Like no one is going to the Firefly compound. So if you're there, like good luck getting out of there. So with you having him, in his trailer in this desolate area, is that kind of like what you were trying to bestow as well, as like if he brings someone back to his trailer to kill and they're lucky enough to not be dead by the time they get to the trailer, like good luck running away, because where are you going to run to?
Yeah, it's that 100%, but I didn't even give it that much thought. I just said I want to do something like Texas Chainsaw.
Oh,
It's a
nice.
it's
Okay.
a cabin except in Texas it's Austin, but in this we're in high desert and we're in the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and there's cannibals that live around too, and
Okay.
so yeah, it's like a cannibal neighborhood basically, and you learn some backstory at the beginning of the film of what this is, and these people are still out there, and in Western America, they're still practicing cannibalism in the modern day society, and we don't know about it. And this town that we shot in, it looks like there could be cannibals, and the house that we shot at was already nicknamed the Murder Cabin because it's extra creepy. And we just set dressed it to look, I was just always thinking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though and then I go back and I'm like, oh, like some of the, like when I've watched the movie a few times, I'm like, oh no, the house is like clean and there's nothing around. I was like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just thinking junkyard, just shit everywhere, just pieces of bones hanging. I think it was because the interior in Texas was all like that, with the bones and everything, and human, human skeletons and things like that. So I put it all on the exterior, and actually the interior is kind of just like a shitty house. It's I mean, he's got like credit cards and people's shit that like on his like table next to the TV, but he kind of keeps the place kind of cleaned up. So it's the outside that looks like a mess. It's like anything, like if you ever were a kid, like this guy, like you didn't want to mess with or talk to this guy. You usually had like a pit bull or something, and it's just like junk everywhere, pieces of like car parts and like a refrigerator, like so we just took that and set dressed the hell out of it and tried to do that. But I was always thinking, Texas Chainsaw when trying to put that together. And Andrea, who did the special effects, she also she helped with special effects. She helped with set dress, set design, hair and makeup. So yeah, it was one of those movies.
It's the world of an independent horror film where everybody's wearing multiple hats because they all have the goal of getting it done and out there for sure.
Yeah.
The vibe that you're describing, I totally get. There's a freaking house right behind my elementary school, and we used to climb to the top of the jungle gym so we could peer into this dude's backyard. And what you are describing, we swore that guy was murdering people in that house, and he had a horse. And then one day the horse was gone. We're like, he killed the fucking horse. But you mentioned Austin is in this movie too, and I know just by being your social media buddy that you still are very close to a lot of people that have been with you since the beginning. Would you say that is like the solid advice for someone who's trying to come up, is like kind of find your core team and have them, kind of surround you as much as possible on your journey? I mean, you obviously have to keep an open mind to like new network, new connection with new people, but how much has that meant to you to have like that core group from the beginning still in your life?
It's really cool. It's like, and also David Vega and Miss Sadistic, who have been in all my stuff. And it's just funny how it worked out with them. They moved to Palm Springs, which is a half hour from where we shot this movie.
Nice.
So they were in Florida when we first shot Mangrove Slasher 2, which is on Amazon Prime or for $1, I think. And I actually see that money. So that I mean, I just know that some of these people, I like David plays the sheriff in this film, and he's really great. And Miss Sadistic plays a character, Eleanor, and they just always bring it. That's the thing. Like, these people bring it, and they're great to work with. And like an Adam Sandler, he's got his core group, and then there's always like an add-on, like Nick Swartzen came in later. Sure. And that happened with Cannibal Comedian. Area 5150 has Aaron is in that movie, and some the people, and then I brought in a new batch that thankfully want to work with me and do this thing, because we are shooting independently, and it's really rough out there in the desert. Although I do love shooting on location, there's times of like, one time there was a hailstorm in the desert, so that and then all the power went out, so it can be rough out there, but it's always like an adventure. And I just like working with people that are fun, easy to work with, and compliment me constantly. No, I'm just kidding. No, I find an ease and comfort with people, and then I just want them to stick around if they can.
Right
And
on, man.
and they just do it when they're just bringing it, like I said, just doing a great job. It's like, oh, I would love to have you play this character, and this next
Yeah.
one. So, and they're just like Miss Sadistic and David are like the biggest cheerleaders ever. They're always
Mhm.
sharing things. They're probably already sharing this, and it's not even out yet. This podcast episode, it's probably been shared like 10 times already, and it's not even out yet. So that's how great they are.
Yeah, those two, having them on the podcast, God, it had to have been it, after you and Austin. I know you were like, "Hey, you got to interview these two as well,"
Yeah.
and they were tremendous to talk to. But man, I know that they will be in your movies until they die if they can. Like, the one that I know you've got coming up on deck, Area 5150. Um, is there any kind of like a timetable as to when you're trying to get that like completely done in the can and start doing festivals with it?
Yeah, it's pretty much in the can, and we are putting together an assembly cut. So that movie had, as well as Cannibal Comedian, had multiple shoots. Like we had the principal photography, and then we went out again, shot additional photography, and so on and so on. So that movie had an Indiegogo, which we
Mhm.
raised around $23,000, which
Nice.
was total success, and that got us Vernon Wells. We ended up shooting in a ghost town and turned it into apocalyptic, like Hills Have Eyes, like the newer one.
Hmm.
It had that feel when the guy's looking for his son or daughter and is running into mannequins, like a test site, like mannequins on swings and shit. So
Mm.
I tried to bring that out in this next one, and so we shot with Vernon Wells there in a ghost town, and then we did 4 days that helped cover that entire budget, and now putting together the assembly, and we're going to see if there's anything else that we need to shoot or want to shoot once that's together. But it's approximately, I would say we would have that one like next summer to
Nice.
shop and then put in film festivals, and that's going to give us time to be able to go 100%, not half-ass on Cannibal. Give us the time to
Sure.
be able to push this movie, and then next summer have Area 5150 come out.
For sure. I mean, Cannibal is still in its infancy. Like it's
Yeah,
like you guys are just getting started with it. So it's like, who knows where this one takes you? Because you've already had, a whole hell of a lot of success with this one. The world could be a completely different, aspect ratio, so to speak,
right.
by the time 5150 comes out for you.
Yeah,
The the fact too that you are kind of like each one of your films is kind of like a different sub genre of horror. Are you like trying, because that was like what I wanted to do when I was getting into this, when I was coming out of film school, going in and out, didn't change my mind. I always thought it would be cool before going back to another horror subgenre to try to do all of them and say you at least tried to do all of them. Like right now, next year we're gonna try to do like a short film that's like in the vein of Blair Witch, like found footage stuff. Just because I've never tried it, want to try it. And is that kind of like what you want to do too? Because these are all, I mean, they're all Sean Haitz movies, but they are all very kind of within the ratio of horror. You're kind of hitting all these subgenres as you go. Are you trying to do that, or is it just like what's happening and by coincidence you're doing that?
I guess with Cannibal Comedian, it was meant to do that
Mm.
but it really was just as like, it was just, oh, I love stand-up comedy. Oh, I love horror. Let's put them together in it and make something. And with Area 5150, the idea sprouted from I and Mark Cerulli, who co-wrote and also plays his character Big Daddy in the movie, and he's hilarious. And he's also plays a heckler in Cannibal Comedian. So going back to bringing people back,
Mm.
and he helped produce Area 5150. So he's all in, and he's been wonderful. And his wife Sandra as well. She would like cook for us. I know I'm going way off, but she was a great cook, and like that's a big thing too for film productions. If you're shooting, like have
Yeah,
good food for people, and
absolutely.
so she provided that. But the idea came from us sending each other videos of people going past the perimeter of Area 51 gate, because there wasn't a gate. Like you could literally cross the perimeter and go into Area 51, and there were signs that say, deadly force authorized, do not pass this. And now they do have gates. I don't think you can actually just drive right through
Hmm.
into the perimeter of Area 51. And so right when these people would do that, there was like tourists that didn't know what they were doing and is driving right in, and all of a sudden they have guns pulled on them with these unmarked white trucks, and these guys jump out with these military uniforms, but they're not military. They're perimeter patrol for Area 51, so it's really weird. And they also would do these weird things too, like if you are driving up to the gate, they'll come around the hill, and then you look, and then they'll back up from the hill, and then you can't see them, and then they'll come forward again like they're fucking with you.
Hmm.
And so the idea came from that, watching those videos. And it was one of those things like, what if these YouTuber podcasters that love aliens and they want to do a live, they want to document going out to Area 51 because it's modern day, that's what people do. And they go with their friends and they go to the gate, and then all of a sudden these perimeter patrol come up, they handcuff them, they throw them in the truck, and they take off. But then we find out that they are not part of Area 51 security. That is just a crazy like Texas Chainsaw family. I know I go back to Texas Chainsaw with some Hills Have Eyes, mutant, uh, you know, brothers and that whole thing of, because they live right off the testing sites of the Area 51, and that's where that idea came from. Yeah, and then it
The
turned into like slapstick as well, and that movie's got a lot going on. It's a crazy movie.
the scenario that you discussed that happened to a college buddy of my cousin. He's driving out in the desert. Totally, he was didn't do it on purpose, but he's completely lost. And he was like turned down a road off of the highway with the mindset that as soon as the road was wide enough, he was going to U-turn and go back the way he came. And as soon as he turned off onto this side road, the trucks, and he was like, fuck, man, there was like 5 guys, all guns, and they were not messing around. They were like, what are you doing out here? And he was just like, I'm lost. I'm completely lost. I have no idea. And then they, backed off, and they were like, yeah, you got to go. Like 3 miles
Wow.
down that. But yeah, that when my cousin told me that story, I was like, holy shit, man. So that does happen. That
Yeah.
they absolutely do that. So the fact that they got gates up now or whatever is one thing, but back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't like that. And if you were on their, kind of area, no pun intended, they
Yeah.
would absolutely come, and they were not screwing around at all.
No way.
Um, well, man, the success you mentioned, Cannibal Comedian is having, and it's lined up to do some festivals. Remind everybody again where are the next festival opportunities to see this thing.
Sure. So August 11th is Houston Horror Fest. and August 11th, I am pretty sure is a Friday. Saturday, they're going to be showing the film. And so that's going to be in Houston. And then the showing after that is Horror Hound Weekend, which is August 18th. And August 19th, they'll be showing the film on a Saturday. And then Sunday, they're going to do the awards ceremony. So, cross fingers, we win something. And then we're coming back to Days of the Dead, which is going to be in LA the following weekend, whatever that is, 21st or yeah. So
21st,
yes,
20, something like that. Yeah.
yeah. And then on top of that, we are going to be premiering my short film that I did called Thumper's Revenge. That's going to be premiering at the
Days of
the Dead in LA. Yeah.
Yeah, before we let you go, talk to me about, because I saw your shots of this kid with the mask on.
Yeah.
What what the hell is this? What's
Okay.
going on?
All right. So I went to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Right.
And I got inspired. I was like, first off, I'd been wanting to do this, like, I just like to shoot, and I wanted to do some sort of short film. And this thing came together so quickly, and we were able to get a crew together and shoot it all in one day, 12 hours, a 9-minute short. And it really spawned from playing with these Disney characters. I did sort of an alternative route of like, these are like almost like furries that love Disney, and they go out in the woods and they dress like these, like Bambi and Thumper, and then shit hits the fan out there in the meadow. And so,
Oh,
because one of the reasons too behind that was it was really tough to come up with this idea, because I was like, well, I can't do Winnie the Pooh, and I also like to have someone do prosthetics to make you look like a humanoid bunny, scary. Like, it's going to cost thousands of dollars, and
sure.
and we figured out, like, something more of like, they wanted to have a picnic and do their furry weird they were being like very romantic about it and stuff like that, but they're almost like these Burning Man types. And yeah, like any convention, you see the cosplayers and stuff like that, so that they just like to act it out. They're a couple, and yeah, things get ugly from there. So yeah, and I also acted in it, and I wanted to that was another thing. I was like, I got to do some more acting, because I have that ability. And I was in Big Top Evil and Mangrove Slasher, and I didn't really put myself in Cannibal. I did finally put myself as a soldier in Area 50, and so I wanted to build up that reel as well, and so I did sort of a comedic role in the Thumper movie. So, and then on top of that, my DP from Cannibal Comedian got a new camera. He had a new red with the anamorphic lens. I'm like, would you want to shoot this? He's like, hell yeah, let's just go do it. And so it just all kind of came together pretty quickly.
Right on, man.
So,
and that's going to premiere at Days of the Dead LA.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, everybody, tell everybody where you are. I know you're pretty good on social media about being able to, reply and post and let everybody know what's coming up next. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah. So my name's Sean, SEAN _Haitz, HAITZ. So it's on Instagram. That's probably number one. Facebook, Sean Haitz, @Sean Haitz. And then also, if you want to check out links to my movies through Instagram or mostly Instagram, I have that, the for Instagram. But Cannibal Comedian is Cannibal _Comedian. And that's, you can go to Instagram, and also it's @Cannibal Comic on Twitter, and we're also on Facebook, Cannibal Comedian.
Dope. And we'll post all those page links in the show notes, so you guys can just click and take you right to Sean's stuff. But man, it's always fun talking to you, dude. Looking forward to seeing your next one. Looking forward to seeing Cannibal when it gets widely available. And we much enthusiastic from our team as far as the run you have built for yourself, and we're always stoked to see what you got coming up next. So thank you again for coming back on, man.
Thanks, brother. It was great to see you and great to talk to you again.